Thank you, Tina, for creating and supporting the Metaphysical School platform. I appreciate deeply the opportunity to connect with all of you. I'm here today to talk about self-care, and specifically energetic self-care. For me, the dance of learning how to support and care for myself, and from there my dependents, and when I say dependents, I'm referring to those I'm officially committed or connected to, beginning with my children and my pets, and from there my family, my staff, my students, my clients, and from there my friends, my community, and from there my country, and what about this planet, and maybe this whole galaxy and universe, and, well, that seems like a pretty tall order most days. I mean, how can I, one person, appear to take care of an entire planet or more? Well, if I had control over all of the above pieces, maybe I could then take care of them, yes? But I know I don't have control over my planet, and I certainly don't have full control over my country or my community, not even over my family. I may have some perceived control over my staff, clients, and children, but the control is limited. And I really don't even have direct, full control over my own body. Does anyone else out there identify with this internal conflict? And for anyone else, does this internal conflict create a massive, steady internal drain? And as such, a need for self-care. Well, I hear a lot of self-care words these days in North America. And for many of us, maybe all of us, these words put us into this exact conflict. What is the difference between self-care and selfish? What will others think of me if I put myself first? What do I think of myself when I put myself first? And yet, what will happen to me if I do not learn to put ourselves first? Actually, what will happen to all of us if we don't learn to put ourselves first? And how do we put ourselves first and also live up to our commitments to the world? Well, I believe there's many ways in which to explore the perceived conflict. For me, I'm finding that focusing on an area that I believe has a lot of untapped or unused potentials, and also an area that is available to every one of us to work with, is my focus. And by that, I mean our feelings, both emotional and physical. Human feelings impact deeply how we show up each and every day. Whether referring to emotional or physical feelings, the outcome is similar. Painful, constrictive feelings deplete our energy, and as such create challenges to our ability to thrive. Yet experiencing uplifting, renewing feelings, emotional or physical, enhance our ability to fly high, to show up as our best and shiny selves. The term that I use to define the uplifting state in which I prefer to function is called coherence. And coherence refers to all parts of my human body doing the same thing at the same time in synchronization and harmony. And at an even deeper level, coherence can refer to complex systems working together in a harmonious manner, be it one's own body or a combination of individual systems like humans, animals, trees, rocks, communities, planets, etc., working together. So within my body, this means that my heart, my mind, and my emotions are aligned and in sync. And physiologically, that will mean that my immune system, hormonal system, and nervous system will all function in a state of energetic cooperation. So for me, a self-care practice involves learning how to sustain coherence as I go through my day. When we are operating in a coherent or higher vibration, we are able to naturally align with our heart values and will experience higher quality emotions more easily. We'll be more self-secure and better able to respond to challenging situations with flexibility and security. We will build trust and respect of ourselves and others. When we are in coherence, we're still aware and will assess ourselves and others, but we're far less likely to form judgments and far more likely to accept where we are at. In coherence, we will be able to admit we don't have all the answers. We will be able to lay aside ego and judgment of ourselves and others. We'll be more open to feedback from ourselves, family, friends, and colleagues. We'll be able to listen and learn without judging or interrupting. And in doing so, we'll help ourselves and others to feel heart-centered, valued, important, appreciated. In contrary, when we're operating from lower less harmonic feelings or vibrations, i.e. incoherent, we lose alignment with our heart qualities and our own values. We'll be disconnected and out of sync. We'll shut off from others due to our own judgments and blame, our excessive worries and lack of care. Being in an incoherent energetic vibration is when we find ourselves harming ourselves and others. Roland McCready from HeartMath suggests that the biggest source of incoherence on the planet Earth at this time is the disconnect between what people know or feel they should do and what they actually do. So there's a couple of key principles to a coherent self-care practice. It is each being's job to identify what most efficiently fills their own bucket, i.e. what type of self-care supports each of ourselves most effectively. And it is also each of our individual responsibility to identify our own personal energetic drains and to do our best to close or heal these drains. We are all unique, and while there are generalities as to how we are impacted, anytime an individual is operating over the limit of what they have energy available to manage, be it because their energy is low or be it because the situation is demanding more than they have, in that moment they are over their limit, and it is absolutely irrelevant as to what your own limit may or may not be. It is irrelevant as to if whatever the circumstances the other body is dealing with would or would not impact you the same way. When you or someone else is over your energetic limit, there is no way that you are going to be able to function in an optimal manner. And just like an overloaded electrical circuit, if the power drain does not ease, you're going to shut down, or worse yet, completely short circuit. You cannot think your way into coherence. You have to actually feel and move your way into it. And it is often our internal conflicts and judgments of self and others that are the hidden slow leak, so to speak. But one other key component to be aware of, because really, why wouldn't everyone want and already be establishing a self-care coherence practice? Well, assuming one's goal is greater health and wellness, greater ability to contribute to life, a greater ability to feel positive emotions, to feel pleasure, to feel happiness, etc., then in the big picture, I see no downside as to humans, all humans, discovering and developing practices that create coherence. But there is a bit of a catch. The road to health is not always linear or smooth, and the path to becoming coherent is no different. We all have something called the amygdala. Sometimes it is called the reptilian brain or the human fear center. It is synced to our heartbeat, and its job is to determine what is familiar and what is unfamiliar and direct the body to respond accordingly. And sometimes when an unfamiliar experience begins, maybe anytime an unfamiliar experience begins, our amygdala's natural response will be whatever seems to be the safest or the most familiar in the moment. And most often these choices are summed up as fight or flight or freeze or even faint. So, to put this all together, should you be one of the many of us humans who did not happen to grow up in a coherent, safe-feeling household? Should you be one of the many humans who did not grow up possessing an inherent self-care practice? Then, as you start to become more coherent, it is not out of the question to have your own body, mind, never mind your family and friends, seem to turn against you. And this won't be your imagination. Humans really do identify the familiar with safe and life-enhancing, and the unfamiliar as dangerous and life-threatening. Interestingly enough, when our Earth experiences, our Earth, our planet as a whole, experiences increased magnetic field disturbances, younger, more resilient, more coherent bodies report positive effects, more brain power, more alertness, heightened physical abilities. And yet at the same time, older, less resilient, less coherent populations report increased hospital admissions. Yet when each group member takes responsibility for aligning with their own heart qualities and values, establishing their own self-care practice, supporting themselves in becoming and maintaining coherence, An opportunity unfolds to create something greater than oneself. 1 + 1 is greater than 2. And when the ones are all experiencing supportive emotions within themselves and within their interactions with the other, they or we will be able to accomplish more using less energy than the sum total of what we can each do individually. So self-care at its core is identifying what for you creates coherence and acting in alignment with your own personal coherence builders, while simultaneously accepting and respecting that your practice might not match anyone else's, and allowing yourself and others the time and space to find and establish their own path to coherence. Mahalo. Thank you for your time.